This stretch coming up for the Philadelphia 76ers is going to make or break their season. This next month will either determine if the Sixers make the playoffs or if they miss the playoffs. So we're going to talk about that. Some difficult games coming up, as Paul George noted the other day. Also coming up here on the 76ers Now Rundown. What a wild turn of events and a crazy development over the last 24, 48 hours. The Sixers are staying in the South Philadelphia Sports Complex, and they will not be building an arena in Center City. It's all coming up right now. Let's go. I'm Chase Sr. This is Philadelphia 76ers Now by Chat Sports. Thanks for hanging out here with us. And no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, we appreciate you for making this show a part of your Monday. This upcoming schedule for the Sixers is a gauntlet, and it could make or break their season. It all begins on Tuesday against the Oklahoma City Thunder, one of the top teams in the NBA. How about a back-to-back? And the back half of that back-to-back is against the New York Knicks at home as well. Then the Sixers go on the road to play the Indiana Pacers, on the road to play the Milwaukee Bucks, Pacers-Bucks, another back-to-back. Then the Sixers will be on the road against the Denver Nuggets, at home against the Cleveland Cavaliers, on the road against the Chicago Bulls, and at home against the Los Angeles Lakers. You think those 8 games are hard? Here is some more of that schedule, which is really difficult. And this is another 5 games where Philadelphia is really going to be tested. Against the Sacramento Kings on the 29th, the Sixers will round out the month of January at home against the Nuggets. They'll kick off February against the Boston Celtics, the reigning NBA champions, host the Dallas Mavericks, could be without Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving in that game, and then at home against the Miami Heat. 12 of these 13 teams have a winning record. And there are 5 sets of back-to-backs. Joel Embiid's worst nightmare. 3 different times the Sixers will play 3 games in 4 days. Could be the nail in the coffin. And you look at the Eastern Conference standings right now. How about the Detroit Pistons having a better record than the Sixers? How crazy is that? Nobody could have predicted that this offseason. The Sixers right now, 15-22. 3 games back in the win column from the Chicago Bulls for that 10th spot. That is brutal. So we talk more about this upcoming stretch. This upcoming stretch for the Philadelphia 76ers in the month of January going into February will determine the direction that the Sixers go at the NBA trade deadline. If the Sixers play well and they beat some good teams, they will be buyers at the deadline. If they continue to struggle like they have over the last few games after it looked as though they were finding their footing, playing good basketball, and the Sixers lose games, there's a real chance they become sellers in a loaded Eastern Conference because a playoff spot won't be available. Guys like Kelly Oubre, Gershon Yabusele, Andre Drummond could all be moved to contending teams in the case that the Sixers do sell. And the way that they've played of late, I'm not confident that the Sixers can beat any good teams. Why? The numbers back it up. The Sixers are 4-19 this year against teams that are 500 or better. They are 11-3 against teams under 500. Sixers are front runners. This is it for the Sixers. Can they save the season? Or is it just another year of disappointment like it's been for damn near the last 2 decades? Chip? You outlined the schedule there. It's pretty brutal.
And this is why, they had that good stretch in December, right? Beat the Celtics on Christmas, had a good month. You're feeling good heading into the new year. New year starts, disaster. You're losing games to the Pelicans, close games against the Wizards, losing the Warriors and the Suns and the Kings, and you're beating the Nets here and there. You saw the numbers. Sixers can't beat good teams. And they had to start off this year good. I'm talking about once the calendar flipped to 2025 because they knew this stretch was coming.
Yeah.
That is a lot of really, really good teams that you have to play. And again, a lot of back-to-backs, a lot of 3 games in 4 nights. And we know Embiid's not really playing back-to-backs. Embiid's not playing at all right now. He's missed the last 4 games with this foot injury he's been dealing with. Paul George hasn't really been playing a whole lot of back-to-backs, so he has started to play a little bit more here and there. And now, you're heading into the part of the year where coming into the season, it was all the expectations, of course, top 3 seed, like, let's go get it. This is the year. And it's just been such a letdown. And honestly, now your sights start to get set towards their draft pick. Because their draft pick, their first round pick this year, is top 6 protected. So if it's not in the top 6, it goes to the Thunder. It will be a disaster if this team misses the playoffs, but they won enough games where they weren't, one of the worst teams in the league. The lottery doesn't fall their way. Say they get the 8th pick. You missed the playoffs, had a bad season with nothing to show for it because you don't even get your pick because it goes to the OKC Thunder. So I think over this next month, you're already, 7 games under 500? If you continue to lose, there's no reason not to just bottom out, trade away some of these guys on expiring deals that could have value to good teams, and just hope that pick lands in the top 6. Because, the way it's going right now, I want the Sixers to be buyers, and obviously we all want to see them make a playoff run and get healthy and get this team together. But, man, even when they are fully healthy, they haven't looked amazing. And when they're not, they just struggle so much to score the basketball. Like against, who was it against last night? Against the Magic.
Magic, yeah.
Close game, for the majority of the game. Paul George fouls out near the end of that game. And then once again, it's the Tyrese Maxey show. And he didn't really have it in the second half. I think he had 7 points in the second half, 22 in the first. Like, this team just has a personnel problem, I think. But they're not going to want to fix that personnel problem if over the next month they aren't even close enough to make a playoff push. So, big month here for the Sixers. This is really it. This next stretch of 13 games until the deadline, we'll see the direction this team might end up going the rest of the year.
It's what you call a gauntlet right there. And, of course, anybody wants the Sixers to be buyers. That means that they have a shot at the playoffs. If they sell, they're pretty much waving the white flag. After signing Paul George and rebuilding this entire roster, it would go down as a massive failure. So, what say you? How confident are you the Sixers can save their season? Scale it for us from 1 to 100. 1 not confident at all. 100 supremely confident in this team. If you go 100, I don't know what you've seen to be supremely confident. Now, coming up next, the Sixers are scrapping their Center City Arena plans, expected to build a new arena in South Philly alongside the Philadelphia Flyers, which will open up in 2031. Always kind of had the thought that arena in Center City was never going to get built. We'll talk about that coming up. I know some people reached out to me on social media talking about doing a video on that. This is for you. Our sponsor for today's show, our friends at Game Time. If you want to go to a Sixers game at the Wells Fargo Center and soak up the last few years at the Wells Fargo Center before this new arena is built, download the Game Time app. You get the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. Prices drop as the event gets closer. You get flash deals, zone deals, ticket insurance, the Game Time guarantee. If you find tickets that are cheaper elsewhere, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. The Philadelphia Eagles, after beating the Green Bay Packers in the wild card round, moving on to the divisional round. They will play the winner of Rams-Vikings. That game happening on Monday night, and then tickets will be released there shortly thereafter. So if you want to go to that Eagles NFC divisional round matchup and soak in a playoff atmosphere, download the Game Time app. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, so the Sixers scrapping their Center City Arena plans, expected to build a new arena in South Philadelphia. The Sixers with the official statement on their X page. Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment, Comcast Spectacor, shaking some hands. They were going back and forth for a long while. It got a little bit political. There were rallies. There were protests. Together, we are announcing a joint venture to build a world-class arena in South Philly, as well as revitalize Market East. I'm not sure how Market East is going to get revitalized. I'm not sure how the Sixers are going to be a part of those plans, but Market East could use that. John Clark, NBC Sports Philadelphia, Sixers and Comcast Spectacor, and the Flyers can be 50-50 partners on a new arena in South Philly. A source familiar with the situation tells me the Sixers and Comcast Spectacor will also work together on a revitalization project for Market East. And this is really where things started to get going here from this Ernest Owens, tweet that we just popped up here. And he started to break the news early on Sunday, and people were like, wow, this is really happening. Sources are telling me that NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, Comcast President Brian Roberts have talked the Sixers into staying in South Philadelphia. And then Les Bowen, who used to cover Philadelphia sports for a long time for Philadelphia Inquirer, Philadelphia Daily News, said the Sixers staying in South Philly, big development plan for hotels and restaurants, such that was never going to go forward if the Sixers left the stadium, ballpark, arena area. So the other pro owners, and leagues were willing to get involved to change the Sixers' mind. Now, of note here, Comcast is taking minority stake in the Sixers with plans to help bring a WNBA team to Philadelphia. So a lot of different developments here. There's been some chatter about the Sixers maybe getting that WNBA team. It looks as though they're going to put in a bid to get one, and then Comcast will have naming rights to the venue. I always thought this kind of made sense, right? Like, you go across the entire United States of America, and no city has what Philadelphia has. No city has a unique setup like Philadelphia has. It makes the tailgating environment, the fan experience so much better, where all of the arenas and stadiums are within 1 mile of each other. And you think about what the Atlanta Braves have done. They built their new stadium, and then they made it a whole entertainment complex. The Sixers had that with the arenas and stadiums and Xfinity Live. Now they can add on top of that, and South Philly will be booming. Dave, you ran. But the Sixers and the Flyers have yet to have a championship-winning season in the Core Estates First Union Wachovia Wells Fargo Center, running out of time to do so with the new arena arriving in 2031 or sooner. Now, I grew up going to the First Union Center, Wachovia Center, Wells Fargo Center. I remember going to some games at the Spectrum way back in the day. Maybe just usher in a new era here. No championships? I guess it's time to move on. I kind of joke, but for real, we want some championships in Philly outside of the Phillies and the Philadelphia Eagles. So, Chip, we've covered all of the developments of this. It always seemed like a reach for the arena to be built in Center City, Market East, and now it looks like it's not going to happen. I think this is what's for the best.
Yeah, I agree for the best. I was always just in favor of keeping it where it is. There was no problems with it. They were having problems internally with the stadium and all this and that. And it just seemed like, with their plan to move, there were just so many roadblocks and things that they would have to figure out, and there was opposition from people in the city, and it just never really made a whole lot of sense for them to go do that. Like, they were once threatening to move to Jersey. Like, it was just...
Delaware.
It was just unbelievable, right? This whole process that they were going through. I kind of always figured at the end they'd always find a way to make it work, and now it seemed like, apart from just the, people in the city pressuring them to not have this happen. Like, it's interesting to see, like, Roger Goodell and all the owners from all these different sports saying, hey, y'all got to stay here in Philly, especially, with the reports that there's all these plans to, build up restaurants and hotels and stuff in the area.
Yeah.
So, I'm just glad they're staying in the same spot. It would have been weird to have all the other Philly sports teams in that area and the Sixers just on their own. So, glad they're staying. But, 2031 still a while away. They did say it's possible it could be done before then. What happens first, Chase? What do you think? Do the Sixers finally win a title before they get out of the Wells Fargo Center, or do they move before they finally get it done?
I don't think they win a title at the Wells Fargo Center. Yeah.
The way it's going right now.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Flyers, they're also not good this year after barely making or almost making the playoffs last year. So not good for those two teams in that same arena. Maybe it's bad luck. Are you in favor of the Sixers staying in South Philly? Y for yes, N for no. I'm going to go ahead and type my Y.